Hello, James.
Hello.
Today we will share stories that show humanity, kindness, and the strength of the human heart in even the darkest places.
Absolutely. I mean, we're not here to make light of any situation, but it's important to see the shining moments in incredible darkness.
So I'll start with a story about a soup kitchen. So this is the kitchen of two brothers, okay? So for most people, the distance between the US and Gaza is about 6,000 miles. But for two brothers, Hani and Mahmoud, that distance was nothing. They were speaking every day, two brothers by phone. One of them was working in America, in a safe office in Virginia, but his brother, Mahmoud, was in northern Gaza, where they were running out of food at this point. So the lack of food is, of course, a big part of this conflict. And they could wait, and hopefully organizations could reach them, or they could do something about it. So they had a plan. So how can you feed your neighborhood, though? You know, there's no electricity, no cooking gas. Mahmoud, he didn't have a professional kitchen or anything. He had a wood fire and a big metal pot. And every morning, him and his family and his contacts, they would go out into the area and find whatever they could to cook. Sometimes they'd find a few vegetables here, or zucchini, or herbs, or lentils, of course. And this is a time when the airstrikes were very frequent, so it's always dangerous to go out into the town. So to get the wood to make the fire, he would have to sometimes trade things. And this is all while, drones are above as well. But they got food together and they made these big pots, like huge pots of food. But the fire from the cooking would kind of attract hungry people, but also people could see it, right? Airstrikes, these kinds of people could also see the smoke and the big gatherings of people. But he didn't stop. And his brother in America was raising money, to buy food. And Mahmoud in Gaza was cooking. And at the best point, he was feeding 3,000 people every day. 3,000 people. So you'd have all these people standing there with bowls, waiting for a hot meal. So something happened, though, in early 2024. So Mahmoud, he was out as usual, working, gathering food, helping his neighbors, and there was an airstrike, and Mahmoud was killed. And so you might think that, the kitchen would stop. But even though the Mahmoud, who had inspired the idea, he wasn't there anymore, but his community and his family did not let that fire go out. They continued cooking, inspired by his vision, which is now his legacy, right? And today, the Gaza soup kitchen is still open. His brother, Hani, still raises money in the US, and the family is still making food in Gaza. So his vision was not stopped.
Okay, good. Even simple things like you mentioned about getting firewood, like how do you get wood in such a situation? I mean, it's almost impossible for us to think of.
You've seen the images of some of the towns around there now. And it's just, as far as the eye can see, it's just concrete, rubble, twisted metal on the floor. If you're lucky, you can see like one or two buildings still standing, you know? It's crazy.
And like being able to keep your kind of like dignity and like respect for yourself as a human in such a environment is just like so beyond what many people experience in their life. It's just phenomenal. It is really phenomenal. And television will always show the worst side of a situation to keep you engaged, to keep you focused. And, you know, will almost show people acting like animals. But this type of story really shows the human decency which still runs through the heart of all of these people.
I guess the energy to do it, right? Like the inspiration to do it. It's following something bigger and greater than just their own needs. And it might also be like a coping, like a way to deal with the stress. Like, have you felt like a deep stress before where you could just feel it like in your bones? I don't know if you've ever had that level of anxiety.
No, I mean,
it's like an inescapable stress. Obviously, I'm not comparing.
Basically, I've been anxious. I've been anxious, but I've never been, you know, like,
like that level of anxiety that I've had like a few times. Like they must have it like all the time. Just this deep, just kind of shaking, you know, deep in your body. And they just get on with it.
Absolutely,
I don't know if you get used to it. And that's just the new reality.
Maybe like pain, like like physical pain. If you kind of learn to live with it, it becomes like a kind of a background noise. Maybe it is a similar thing. Within this whole conflict, unfortunately, schools have been used to store ammunition or to have a place where soldiers can move around during the Gaza conflict. And we need to remember that for a long time, these schools have been teaching anti-Semitism, speaking about jihad, speaking about martyrdom, and from a very young age to love jihad and fighting Jews within the school system of Palestine. And I would love to speak about a different type of school system within the area. There is an amazing school called Hand in Hand, which is a center for Jewish and Arab education in Israel. So it's a network of bilingual schools serving Jewish and Arab children in Israel. The school serves over 2,000 students, and there are 6 elementary schools, 5 preschools, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school. And they all operate under the Israeli public school system, and they're based in Jerusalem, Galilee, Tel Aviv, other places. And one of the reasons I think this place is fantastic is because its sole mission, I say sole mission, one of its key missions is to create this strong and inclusive society. And by having the school being bilingual and having the students learn not only Arabic but also Hebrew, it lets the Arab children and the Israeli children participate in the same activities but without one or the other denouncing their heritage.
They're allowed to be themselves and to be proud of their ethnicity and their culture.
It started a long, long time ago. It started in 1997 with only 50 children, and it's since grown to this quite a large organization. And again, it's to build trust between the Jewish and the Arab citizens. The curriculum, it emphasizes this idea of shared citizenship and mutual respect. So whereas the schools in Palestine, when they're run by Hamas, are teaching the ideas of jihad and the ideas of martyrdom, and using summer schools to even train in like simple military tactics. This type of school is really trying to promote how, yes, there are differences, but how can we use those differences to build a better society, opposed to having a society constantly in conflict with each other. Beyond the school system, there is a large adult community as well. And at the moment, there are 3,000 active members of this hand-in-hand society. And reportedly, they're influencing up to 10,000 citizens. And again, the kind of activities they do are like, celebrations and like conversations, so like dialogue sessions. And, they're reflecting the belief that adults must lead the way in creating a shared society. Now, this, of course, there have been some critics of this, for example. In 2014, there was an arson attack. And the school...
Arson. Arson
Yes.
means an attack with fire, to set a building on fire, right? It's arson.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, this arson attack was also paired with anti-Arab graffiti, which was sprayed upon the walls, such as "Death to Arabs." But this act of
Act of hate. That's what it is, right?
It's hateful, most definitely. The sentiment there is no worse than Hamas saying death to Jews. It's the same thing. For many people, this act kind of crossed a red line. It encouraged adults to be more proactive with the school. So in the end, this act of arson, this fire, caused the school to be stronger afterwards, because it helped create a stronger community through that element of violence.
Well, that's the thing with violence in every sense, whether it's just, people having a fight in the street, or it's like the violence happens to try to stop something happening, but usually the opposite happens. Don't you find?
Absolutely. Most definitely.
So often. It's like to be violent against people actually causes them to unite together and become stronger. You see that through history.
You really do. And it's won numerous international awards. And is it perfect? Probably not. But it definitely shows that you can create organizations with children exploring these kind of like shared beliefs, because they have the same goal, which is to live a peaceful and happy life.
When I was in India, I traveled around India for like 5 months in my 20s. And one of the people I hung out with was an Israeli boy. He was studying to be a Buddhist monk. He was a genius, actually. I was with him for about a week, 10 days. He and his friends, from like a grassroots, like community level, like away from government, they would take the harvest of these olive trees, the olive trees that used to be in Palestine's territory. They would take the harvest of olives and then drive it to the Palestinians that could not access those trees anymore.
Okay.
And this was about 15 years ago, like before all this crazy stuff, started happening recently. And he was saying his community, his grassroots community, would get Palestinians to Israeli hospitals. So they would get them from Palestine, drive them to the hospitals in Israel. Bill Burr says a bit about that they use kids as human shields, right? You've heard that before. Not just in this conflict, but often in conflicts in many countries around the world, right? There's this idea they use kids as human shields. So Bill Burr, he just says, "So don't shoot."
It's pretty obvious. It's like if there's a school with children and there's like 2 terrorists in the school, don't blow up the school.
It's just
It does seem very obvious, really.
It's pro-life or pro-death. Like, you can either kill one kid and one terrorist, or you don't kill any of them. Do you know what I mean? Just let him off for the day. Or find a time when he's not using a kid as a human shield. Are you ready for the next story? This is about a sanctuary. So a sanctuary means a safe space. So this is a sanctuary called Al-Baraka. In Gaza today, there's a new name for some children. It is WCNSF, which stands for Wounded Child, No Surviving Family. So there are thousands of these children right now. Like, imagine being 10 years old and waking up in a world where every person who knew your name and every person that loved you is gone. So these children need a safe place, a sanctuary to be. There is an orphanage. So an orphanage is a place where they look after children with no parents. It's on the coast of Gaza. There's many tents are there altogether, and it's called Al-Baraka Camp. And some people call it Orphanage City. So it was started by a teacher named Mahmoud Kalak. He saw that there's lots of suffering and destruction everywhere, but some orphans, people were not paying attention to them, were not helping them, because they're young. Like, they don't know who to speak to get help. They don't know. You have 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds. So he made it his mission to find these kids, to look after them. So he runs this camp. So how do you feed 120 children? How do you keep them warm, right, in the winter? I mean, this is a very difficult challenge, right? So he now has a team of volunteers, and the volunteers are not just workers, but they are also survivors often. They cook in these very big pots, and they look after the kids. But it's more than just a camp, or more than just an orphanage. So it's become like a new family. These children with no parents, the community are heavily involved. So you'll see parents who have lost their kids. They will come to the camp and they will look after the children. So you'll see a woman kind of brushing the hair of a kid that's not hers. The kid's lost her parent and the woman's lost her child. And they develop a bond, a connection. So the community is like a broken community, and they are looking after the kids all together. There's a girl named Talene who she lost her family, and she stopped speaking. So she couldn't speak anymore because of the trauma. But because of the camp's school and the care from volunteers, she talks again. Yeah, there's lots of efforts to basically make these kids feel normal again. So the community has become a new home. Still,
fantastic, amazing.
Loud noises. Still, there's loud noises from the sky, and fear returns. There's people there that are choosing to be the mothers and fathers of kids, that, you know, other people's kids,
which is incredible. I mean, again, with all this type of like fear and like difference, I mean, we're all, dare I say, children of God. Yes, I mean, people will do bad things and people will do bad actions, but I sincerely believe that even within the most evil of person, there is that spark of goodness which remains. And every single child in particular deserves to have that spark nurtured in a positive way to help them become to help them create a good life for themselves. And I don't think that should be taken away from anyone.
But it's a scary time, isn't it? Like I struggle to see like what the point of it is. So much
with Gaza.
With Gaza, Lebanon, Iran. Something that's scary is that there's like no accountability. There's no rules. Like the UN, like doesn't mean anything, right?
No.
The UN was made after World War II, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, this will never happen again. This will never happen again. I don't know because everyone from World War II is like, gone now. The memory's forgotten. But there's no justice. The UN has no power anymore. But the UN Charter of Rights is just meaningless because, war crimes are happening and there's nothing anyone can do about it. You know what I mean?
I know precisely what you mean, and you're completely correct. The end of the Second World War created the UN. Now that memory of the war is fading, so now we're entering a new world. Yeah, that is literally it, like nail on the head. To be fair, how it was after the Second World War had been irregular for human history. Now we're going back to what it was more like during human history, which was, empires and control and sovereign nations not being respected. And it's going back to as it was for the majority of human history.
It's more dog eat dog, right?
A little bit more, yeah. I mean, well, the thing is we've seen with America, yeah? It's like America effectively is saying with the whole Iran thing, yeah? It's because it's completely an illegal war. There's no way you can justify it, not in my mind, unless you take extremes. There's no real justification for it. And so why is it happening? Because America wants it to happen. Is anybody going to stop it? No.
But then they can't stop it.
No, not really. Not unless you have like a huge war. Absolutely.
It makes such little sense that and I don't mean to seem like a conspiracy man, but I feel like there are presidents and governments and rich people that, the billionaires or whatever, we think that they run the world. But I'm starting to see some hidden entity, some kind of secret force. I don't know. Because as I said, I just don't understand why it's happening. It's just so crazy that it must be, I don't know if I'm not saying it's like aliens or the devil or Satan, but, there's the government and then there's some like super overarching government that's completely hidden. Nobody knows about it, but they really run things or something like that. Does that sound really crazy?
I don't think it's an organization, but I definitely believe in top politicians and top officials who are not in the public eye being influenced negatively.
For example, Bernie Sanders. So he is a key figure in the anti-Iran war group, you could say, which is like 65% of America is that. Huge protests around the world. Yeah, and that's another thing. It's just like the people don't want it, but yeah, it's still happening. It's illegal. The people don't want it. Like, what? It's crazy. But anyway, so he went to the Congress, which is a very powerful court in America. And he says, okay, here's a bill to stop $295 million worth of bulldozers. So a bulldozer is big, heavy machinery that you use to crush houses and to move rubble
think of it
away.
like a tractor, which you would use on a farm. But on the front of this tractor, there's a kind of like metal wall, and the wall pushes down, or has the ability to push down structures or to create flat ground. And so, yeah, think of it like a large tractor, which is a kind of a big car.
And what do people use that for? Construction, clearing away buildings. So anyway, the American taxpayer is going to send $295 million worth of bulldozers to Israel. Yeah, of course, they'll be used to make new settlements. I'd imagine, right? To clear away land and to rebuild land. So he said, let's stop these bulldozers going to Israel. They don't need it. He didn't say stop the weapons, right? People say Israel have a right to self-defense. Yeah, fair enough. He's just saying not send them bulldozers to restructure villages and towns.
Yeah, because to be fair, we have to be clear here that the events which led to the conflict in Palestine were totally beyond what is acceptable. And Israel was completely correct in having some type of defense or reaction to such incredible crimes of hate and violence. It's just that, is this proportionate? Is this a fair outcome to these kind of attacks? I mean, that is under debate, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle to. I mean, if you just look at the raw statistics, it's just
this is my point precisely.
Yeah.
I mean, like, is it justifiable? That is the question.
It's like,
I mean, what happened was horrendous, but
of course,
is it justifiable?
I mean,
like, if it was your mum, you would be pretty upset.
It's a balanced way to look at it. But anyway, so guess what? He asked, let's not send the bulldozers, and the American politicians blocked his proposal. Okay, so these bulldozers, which is to destroy villages in Palestine, in Lebanon, 59 people said, no, we will send the bulldozers, and 40 said, okay, Bernie's right, let's not send them. So, I mean, that's 59 to 40. Sending bulldozers. How is that so important?
It's because, unfortunately, many American politicians have been funded by, I believe it's OPEC, I believe is the pronunciation. It's a organization which is effectively Israeli, and they will give money to individuals. So many American politicians receive bribes, basically. They receive personal funds from Israel to vote in the way in which would be beneficial to Israel. I know that sounds absolutely crazy, and it sounds like, James, you're speaking about the complete corruption of the American government. And I'm like, yeah, check it out, because they do. I mean, not every single politician, but they bribe, they give huge donations to people. And this happens to every government. I'm not saying it's America particularly, but this is the reason, because they're all bought. You just buy a politician with enough money.
Another point that leaves me feeling a bit not anxious and scared, but like the ground has moved beneath my feet, and now I kind of don't know what is real anymore. Is like deep down, up to recently, I thought that there was some grain of good in America's actions. And also, and when I say America, I mean the West generally. I mean Western Europe, I mean NATO, that bloc. I thought they would always fight for some level of justice. But this conflict, be it Israel into Gaza and Lebanon, or Israel and America into Iran. I've actually really thought for the first time, I was like, well, so America, us Western people, English-speaking Western people, a bit like the world police, right? Fighting these wars, but there must be some grain of wanting to do the right thing. But I'm really struggling to see it. And if you just look at the wider statistics, it's like all of these wars to stop the terrorists, say, how many more people has American military action in the last 30 years killed than the terrorists have killed that they're trying to stop? What I mean is, like, in Iraq,
I understand.
Like, I understand. Like 2 million people died.
Yeah, I understand.
Iraq, right?
It's crazy
it's like
numbers.
3 million people. I might have to quickly change that number. Died in Afghanistan. And surely that's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times more people than the terrorists that they're trying to stop. And it's not just, oh, they made a mistake. It's like it's happened again and again and again. Different governments, different administrations. So I'm going through a time of reflection now where I'm just like, are we the evil ones? Or rather, I'm not really personally connected to it, of course. Not personally connected to it. That is the American, the evil ones. And I'm genuinely, for the first time in my life, deep down in my core, genuinely asking this question.
When you kind of move away from the kind of universal truths, like the golden rule, as you would say, like, you know, love thy neighbor as thyself, like love others as you would love you. When you move away from that golden rule and you start doing kind of what you want to do, this is the consequence of that. That's what I would say. I don't think it's necessarily America being like actively evil, but it is moving away from that kind of teaching, that kind of philosophy. When you move away from that, then you become something else. And this something else is not good because human nature is broken. I definitely wouldn't say that Western influence is evil. I think that many things the West has done has been absolutely amazing, absolutely outstanding. Of course,
yeah, 100%. But I'm just talking more recently.
I was going to say, I can point to very few things post-Second World War where I could really say, oh yeah, this was an amazing thing the West has done post-Second World War. There's very few things I can think of, and nothing which really jumps to my mind other than technological improvement. And that's arguable. That's arguably good, yes? If there was no TikTok, would it affect my life in a negative way?
Well, it would affect the lives of so many teenagers out there when you have depression and suicide an all-time high for young people.
Women's suicide blows my mind. The fact that, like, when we were younger, like, women didn't commit suicide. I mean, very rarely. Now it's like pretty common. I mean, it's like far, far more common than it should be for anyone, admittedly. The amount of women on antidepressants is crazy high.
And then, but you'll see, like, every few months, there'll be Mark Zuckerberg on stage. And he's like, so what we can do now, you can have an AI conversation with Snoop Dogg. And there's all these new AI mates on Facebook. These are your new friends now. It's like, how is that good for humanity and people's, mind? Live in your own little weird bubble where you can pretend to be friends with an AI Snoop Dogg.
I can't wait to leave my beautiful, loving wife to be with the AI sex bot. It's going to be best time ever. It's like, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, do you want reality or do you want, like, sex robot with AI personality? It's bizarre. We're completely off topic, by the way, but whatever.
No, but we're not, though. We're not. Because you're saying
How are we not?
The Western, like, world, English-speaking world, were questioning if they're doing morally the right thing. And you were saying that they are leaving God, basically. They're moving away
Yeah,
from God's teaching.
yeah.
But, and this is why what we just talked about, social media is also moving away from God, I would say.
Absolutely. Well, the original idea of the internet was created by Tim Burgess-Lee, and the reason it spread so quickly is because he gave it away for free, because he was a devout Christian and he wanted to create communication between different people all over the world. So the essence, the birth of the public internet, let's say, has this kind of meaning and motivation behind it, which is a deeply Christian one, but it is clearly not even close to religious at the moment. And one of the strange things with something like Gaza, great example, is that the Jewish people who live in Israel and the Palestinian people who live in Israel are so much closer than the Americans, in the fact that like their culture is very, very similar. Yes, they have different ways of worshipping God, but it's very, 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 very similar. Whereas the kind of like Protestant American way of experiencing reality is just like totally different, totally different. And then you have this totally different culture basically like interjecting what is good and what is not good.
Yeah, I saw a creepy video just the other day. It was from 1948, and it was the first ships arriving carrying Holocaust survivors, displaced, homeless Jews after World War II, carrying them to Palestine.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they were getting off the ship and going to their new home. Yeah.
Well, the crazy thing is like, I'm sure in England we have something called Jaffa cakes. Do you know what a Jaffa cake is, Tristan? Of course you do.
It's amazing. Yeah, of course.
So Jaffa is a town in Palestine, and they became famous for growing oranges in particular, Jaffa oranges. And that was a Jewish community which set up in Palestine and helped regenerate the region, let's say. And even before the Holocaust, many Jewish people resettled, or say resettled, went to Palestine, went to this area and created like full communities and, you know, working infrastructure where there hadn't been before. And there really was a kind of like community of, you know, Jews and Gentiles and Arabs who were more or less living in peace. I'm not saying that they were like, you know, best friends forever, but nothing like what we've seen since the Second World War. Like nothing at all.
To kind of give a kind of closing conclusion, we have moved away from the divine God, but the
Yeah.
stories from earlier in this episode remind us that it's very much still there.
Well,
Like the
absolutely.
best things
As I said before,
about
about, you
humanity,
know,
the best things about
yes.
the human heart.
Well, no, exactly. I mean, Christ says you have to try to be like children, yes? And when you are like a child in innocence and in this kind of like way of thinking of like, this person needs help, let me give them help, opposed to, does this person deserve my help? You know, do they merit me to help them? If you just do the action, then everybody will be so much better. But then, as I said at the very, very beginning, the only way you can start this process is through a kind of blind forgiveness. You just have to forgive the other person for the trespasses they have made to you, and vice versa, naturally.
And it's easier to forgive in time, of course. You know, even like the next generation can forgive far more easily than the generation that has to go through with it. But every time something like this happens, I just feel like it pushes back mass forgiveness. You know, it pushes
Yeah.
back forgiveness on a big scale by a whole nother generation.
Absolutely. I totally
Like,
agree.
it's going
I
to
mean,
take a
that,
long time for Israelis to forgive Palestinians and for Palestinians to forgive Israelis and for Ukrainians to forgive Russians, you know? Like, this kind of
yeah.
PTSD is going to exist in their culture, right? This kind of mental trauma. I mean, that's like 2, 3 generations. Like, the family is still affected by that,
Well, yeah. I mean, we
you know?
didn't speak about this at all, but with Iran has a new leader. Yeah. The new
Yeah.
leader of Iran, his father was killed by Americans. His wife was killed by Americans. One of his
His
children was
kids,
killed. Yeah,
yeah.
he was killed by Americans. I mean, one most certainly. I'm not too sure about others. And so, like, is he going to be like all? Is he going to want to forgive America? Like, would you?
That
Like,
is horrific. And he is mangled. He's very wounded. And he's like been crippled or disabled himself.
really? I didn't know this.
No, he did. The same bomb has like
Yeah,
it smashed him up. And he's been in a
I didn't know.
hospital all this time.
Okay,
So
okay.
he's going to literally be like Darth Vader. No, but he might be. Like, he'll emerge just like...
He's gonna come out like RoboCop. He's gonna turn up to Washington DC like
Yeah,
a Warhammer Space Marine and just like kill everyone within like a 10-mile radius.
yeah, in like 5
Maybe.
seconds.
Like jokes apart, I mean, like, I would find it very, very, very difficult to forgive somebody if they killed my family. Like,
For sure.
incredibly difficult. And I'm obviously, a professed Christian, but I would definitely need the help of God to overcome such an incredible tragedy
But
and
it...
not be full of hate. Not to be full of hate and not to live my life, like day-to-day life, full of resentment and hate for what had happened.
He would live in a state of anger that you and I can't imagine.
No. And
Like,
he's
as in,
smart.
it's a... Yeah,
And he's
and
really
he's smart. So it's an anger that where you just wouldn't care how many people it hurts.
There is an amazing bit of film. Have you seen West Side Story? It's like a musical. At the very end, like, Tony is killed, who's one of the protagonists, and his like girlfriend Maria loses her mind a little bit, and she picks up the gun which has killed him and starts pointing it to like other people, saying, "I don't care anymore," effectively. But then the because it comes from a place of love, it changes from wanting to have revenge to just absolute grief. And she drops the pistol and she doesn't kill anybody else. She's just so overcome with incredible grief and emotion that revenge doesn't even register, because it's the love she had for the person which is greater than the want for the revenge of his death. If that makes sense. It's a bit of a strange ending, but I don't think that's going to be the case.
The settler thing is absolutely crazy. I mean, the settlers, the thugs that just go to these Palestinian villages and just throw bricks at the window. Hey, man, hey, throwing rocks at them. He's like, tomorrow you got to leave that house. Tomorrow I live there. Otherwise I do this, I do that. You understand? And there's just these like scared like Palestinian like families like, inside. Half the time they leave, and then half the time they just get like literally like physically thrown out. And they're destroying villages in Lebanon now. Yeah, it's just thugs basically. And again, no accountability. Like they can't complain to anyone because the police or the army, like they don't punish the settler
And the crazy
violence,
thing with Lebanon, like there's a huge Christian population in Lebanon, like significant. Don't
and you've
care
seen
at all.
maybe the picture of the IDF soldier just like smashing the cross with like a hammer.
Yeah, smashing Christ, yeah. Because they don't care at all. But then nor do
Yeah.
we. We don't care at all. about the fact that they're Christians or Muslims or Jewish people, whatever. I mean, like, there's why are Christian countries not supporting Lebanon? Because there's a massive population, and it's just beyond what is acceptable. I mean, for Palestine as well. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that it's not just a Muslim, Jew, Christian thing. It seems to be something other than that as well, you know?